Welcome to the Skirted Professional Podcast, a place where women of all different walks of life come together to share their journeys and wisdom they've learned along the way. We're so excited that you're part of this community. We hope you always leave this space feeling encouraged, inspired, and a little less alone. The Skirted Professional is brought to you by C Saucy, a medical apparel company that specializes in modern scrub skirt sets for the working woman. Their goal is to give every woman the option to wear a skirt in their workplace without compromising the comfort, style, or functionality of their scrubs. You can check them out at csaucy.com. That's CSAUCY.com. All right, without further ado, let's get to today's episode. Hi, Cylinda. Welcome to the Skirted Professional Podcast.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here.
Well, we can't wait to hear all about you and your background and all of the good that you're going to share with us today.
Well, when I found out you were doing this podcast, I was just like over the moon because this is so needed. It's like a niche that no one has dove into. So I'm so thankful that you're out swimming in the deep water with this. It's amazing.
Well, I'm glad you're out there with us and we're dragging you along with us. But it's been a fun adventure. But we want to hear from you today on kind of your story and where you're at today. But let's start with the background. Tell us about who you are, kind of your upbringing, and some of your background experiences.
Okay, well, I'm an MK, and as an MK, that's the worst question you can ask. Like, where are you from? Because you go into like panic mode. But my parents were appointed as missionaries when I was actually 4, turning 5, and so I lived most of my growing up years in the islands of the Caribbean. And I would live 4 years in the islands and then come back to America for a year and then go back 4 years and went to college. At that point, I went to Bible college, and I just had so many settling issues that I went to 3 different Bible colleges. I was like, no, this isn't the right one. I guess I was like, the Goldilocks and the 3 bears. I don't know. But anyway, I finally did graduate. My dad was like, thank God she's just graduating from something.
Yeah.
But I came back to the islands and I was on AIM for different stints, different countries. And then I really just started feeling a burden for our missionary kids because a lot of my peers we would go to retreats and conferences and they were just not serving God. And so I started writing letters to Brother Sism, poor Brother Sism. I think one summer I sent him like 12 letters about missionary kids. And so he said, if you have the passion for this, why don't you come and help teach at school missions? So that was when I was 20. And I worked with missionary kids for 30 years. And I know I don't even look that old.
You don't at all. So where is the School of Missions located?
So school missions at that point. So what it is it's a training 2 weeks for missionaries. And so it's every year. At that time it was in Carlinville, Illinois. Now it's in St. Louis, Missouri.
Okay.
And it's just 2 weeks of intensive training. And I started teaching the little tiny ones. And then as I, got older or matured, I started helping with the teens. I went to the elementary and then teens. And then I felt like at that point there was an association for missionary kids, but not a ministry. And so as I became more and more involved, really when I got into my 30s, I just started saying, look, why don't we make this a ministry instead of association? And so worked full time for MK Ministries for 12 years and just was the office manager, assistant coordinator, and we just developed all kinds of programs for our missionary kids, and it was just a delight. It was a really neat season of my life. So
that's really inspiring. So give us a glimpse into, at that School of Missions, a 2-week boot camp, basically, and you're teaching little ones. Kind of walk us through what you're teaching them. How do you even prepare a young child to go on the mission field?
I think one of the neatest things is to just let them know that God doesn't choose just parents, He really chooses families. And I have seen over the years how kids are the ones that actually have broken open a field as far as contacts and connections, and just letting them know that it could be that your parents were even chosen because of you and
Wow.
how special you are. So letting them feel that they really need to plug in. I was actually at a funeral this weekend of an MK. She was in her late 30s, and I had her in my class when she was 9 years old,
Wow.
and she was just such an amazing MK. But the neat thing about her is she was determined to go to her country and just minister as a 9 year old. And she started having puppet shows. She took her socks and made puppets out of
Oh,
them
my word.
and grew out of her garage. And then it got to where there's too many kids. She started going into the parks. And then
Wow.
it got to be so big that they started rotating and going to different cities. And I thought about it how, because of she plugged into what the Lord is calling her to, that really it enhanced the ministry of her parents. So,
Wow.
and another neat thing is I just was on a different podcast and we were talking about missionary kids. And this missionary is very shy and they're a little bit more reserved, but their children are very eager to talk to people.
Hmm.
And so I was somewhere and she heard me speaking about the fact that God chooses families and he puts you together as a unit to minister. And she was so thankful for that because she was like, "Oh, the Lord knows we need outgoing children because they're both so quiet."
Aw. I
So I
never
just,
thought of it that way. That
yeah.
is, yeah, that is really exciting to
Um,
hear.
one of the cool things too is that I think that parents have felt kind of guilty for taking kids overseas.
Hmm.
And I remember a family that they were called to a nation that was a very, it's now an access challenge nation, meaning they cannot, out loud proclaim Jesus to others. They have to do it in more quiet ways. And the little daughter at that time was 3 or 4, and they were feeling that call, and the grandparents were saying no. And they had left her with her grandparents, and she took a towel in the living room and laid it out, and she began to pray and intercede, and she was saying, God, help us to get to our people. We have to get to our people, and just crying like actual tears,
Hmm.
and saying, I don't know why people can't give to us because we have to get there quickly.
Hmm.
And so because of that, her grandmother, when they came home from going out, said, please know that you have our full blessing, that the Lord has called you as a family to help this nation. So, yeah, kids really make a difference. But then you would never think of having a youth group or a Sunday school without ministering to those kids. So
Right.
that's what was happening. It's they were being assigned and going with their families, but there wasn't a ministry per se.
Hmm.
And so we just tried to develop a ministry for them with all the different ages and just come alongside them and strengthen them in the journey. So,
Wow. Well, and I could see how kids, yes, they're so outgoing, they don't meet a stranger. But then when you would get over to those countries and you put your child in school and they automatically make friends, they probably initially have more outlets than even their parents do in
right.
certain seasons. Because that
Yeah.
leads to teachers and, different faculty and however the school structure is set up. But that's impressive.
Yeah.
Very.
So it was just an honor. I saw so many of them that were really struggling with the Lord, just have a place to connect and kind of find a youth group. We started bringing them in for NAYCs, and the youth department was
Wow.
so amazing with that. And just to have like their youth group that they could sit with, and
Yeah.
we started having retreats for them, and just saw so many connecting to the Lord. And the team that's doing it now, they're doing a phenomenal job as well. So I started feeling the Lord really redirecting me. And we know when that happens that we can either just be like, yes, or be hesitant. And I was being very hesitant because of my heart. And I would put M in my phone and it automatically would put a K next to it. It was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I know what you're going to do.
Yeah.
But the Lord was directing me to, I was praying for my father. He was working for Compassion Services International, which is the nonprofit of the UPCI. And so he said, we really need help. I want you to help me pray about the Lord sending helpers. And so I started praying with him for that, not knowing the Lord is calling me to that.
Wow.
And my pastor spoke to me and he said, I really feel like there's a redirect in your life, that the Lord is really redirecting you. I was like, oh, that's great. Cause I didn't want to leave the missionary kids.
Right.
So the Lord has a way of getting our attention.
Yeah.
And I had a brain aneurysm. And actually one of the times it was a massive brain aneurysm while I was driving down the road. It was a
Oh,
miracle
Lord.
that I lived, and the Lord just, it was a miraculous story. But one of the times my daughter was actually getting ready to go to college in the middle of this. This is when I was out of my mind, not really cognizant of what I was saying. And it was before I was intubated. And I told her, I said, this is happening because of CSI. And she was like, okay. She was
Wow.
like,
She's like,
I don't know
last
what you
words
mean.
before surgery.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, but after that, the Lord brought me through, and it was almost like a resetting for me. And I
Wow.
just knew that I really needed to submit to helping with that. The Lord gave me a vision. It was Valentine's Day after I had my brain aneurysm. And I had been on a time of fasting and praying about it. And I remember when I was in prayer, seeing different people from around the world almost in a parade in front of me.
Hmm.
And they looked at me and they were saying, will you help me? And then, I would see that they had been through like either a typhoon or a hurricane or something, and I said, yes, I'll help you. And the next one came through and they looked like they needed medical attention, like they're bleeding and hurting. And they said, will you help me? And I said, yes. And so it was like the Lord brought a parade of people from around the world into my prayer room. And
Mm.
it
That's
still makes me emotional to think of it, just accepting that call, but it took something that drastic to get me to do something. So I guess I'm saying that to say, if you're listening to this and the Lord has been telling you to just step into something, you don't have to fear that, because once He gives you that direction, He's going to make a way with that direction.
absolutely.
Um, and it's better to say yes than to go through things like,
Oh,
all the
oh,
stories. But anyway,
wow.
so yeah, I started helping after that with Compassion Services International, which I feel like is the hidden jewel,
Yeah.
you know, of the UPC. It's a nonprofit that's been established 30 years ago,
Okay.
and it's a great ministry.
Wow. Okay. So CSI, Compassion Services International, nonprofit. What is the crux that you do with that? And we know medical mission trips is a big part. So tell us a little bit of that about that.
So Compassion Services International actually started in a board meeting from our global missions board, and there was a very large famine that was happening. It was the Ethiopian famine, and there was a huge revival was happening in Ethiopia, but the people were starving,
Hmm.
and they started saying, it's great that we're bringing the gospel, but we can also offer natural help. And so at that point, it was formed, and the leaders formed it for four wings, and that was humanitarian aid, medical missions, education, and disaster relief. And those are the four areas or wings that they focus on. Shortly after that, I shouldn't say shortly, probably about 10 years after its formation, they
Mhm.
went separate from working within global missions, and they became a separate 501c3, so that it wasn't just geared towards pastors
Right.
and the people that were in, they were really wanted to work with businesses and get involved in the private sector. And so I would say I've been involved with it in the past 3 years, so
Okay.
it's been a shorter journey for me, but just the reach of it is just phenomenal. We work with medical missions, as you know, we take, teams of doctors and nurses to areas that wanna set up a clinic, or sometimes it's because of a disaster, we're bringing them on board to
Yeah.
help with that. And then we also have countries where we have clinics available for us to step into.
Hmm.
And everything has kind of been on pause the last year and a half, 2 years, because of not only stipulations with our nurses with COVID, but
Sure.
then also with the nations. And so we've been just working to try to better ourselves and to strengthen the cords of our tent here in America, so to speak. And then we work with education, and one of the things that's really exciting with education is that our goal is to work with teachers when they're off school breaks and they're having a break, and bring them to different countries so that they can help. We have several countries where we have schools,
Hmm.
and one of the projects that we've been working with is it's a nonprofit called Love Has Feet, and it's in Western Africa, and we work with them with literacy, And this is bringing people, it's actually from the Fulani Nation, which is a tribe that has never been reached before,
Wow.
and teaching them, they're extreme Muslims. And so bringing them in and teaching them how to read and write with the Bible as their guidebook.
Oh my goodness.
Absolutely incredible to see the results of that. And so
Wow.
that project is something that we've been helping with. And what we do is that if they do come to the classes for literacy, we do offer them, mosquito nets, and then they get
Mm.
soap or they get cloth or food. So every week is a different staple that they'll need to survive.
Wow.
So that is just a phenomenal thing. And then with education, we also have been working in Togo with a prison system there, and we're bringing in Bibles, and again for literacy to learn how to read and write, and then also for them to have evangelism. And they've seen over 2,000 prisoners be
Oh,
baptized and receive the Holy
amazing.
Ghost. That's a really, really neat thing.
That's amazing.
Um, Disaster relief is more waiting for a disaster to happen and send in help. And so we don't like to get the call, but we definitely like to come alongside our missionaries and strengthen them. I think the thing that you can think about with CSI is that we are really, missionaries focus on the spiritual need and meeting that, and we come alongside and meet the natural need and just offer a different way to bring hope and help to that nation.
Wow.
And then as far as humanitarian aid, that's really the one the Lord was working on me the most with. I remember going to a missions conference, and this is when I was still with MK Ministries, and seeing a display that they had there, and it was from refugees that were coming across, and this is coming
Mm.
across from different Middle Eastern countries, and they're going into Greece, and it was just a dinghy, and there was some shoes that had floated up that they brought to this, and this was in Texas. And I was standing there and I was like sobbing, and the girl that I was with, she's like, okay, I'm gonna come back, you you go ahead and have your moment here. Obviously, this is a you and Jesus thing. And I didn't know what was happening. I mean, I've seen this kind of thing before, and it's never done that to me. So anyway, it was kind of funny because the Lord is already working on me. And again, if the Lord is working on you on
Amen.
something, pay attention. So we definitely work with refugees, and we work with countries that you would never even think of. We work in Eastern Europe trying to provide food for them, and we
Wow.
go into homes and just bringing a box of supplies. One of the neater things that we got to do during COVID, which we were helping so many countries, as you know, everybody
Oh,
was
I'm
in
sure.
lockdown and
Yeah.
just drastic, but we were able to help and bring 9 ventilators
Wow.
into nations that did not have ventilators at their hospitals. So
Unbelievable.
it was making the missionary become the hero
Yeah.
of the city. They were able to, we were able to purchase them, and they were getting them locally, and they brought them there. And it was just such a great connection for them because all of the doctors and nurses knew that here they were bringing the medical equipment. We pay for medications in some drastic situations. We have a Middle Eastern undercover Christian missionary, excuse me, that
Mm.
has a group of people that she works with, and a lot of them can't afford their medication. So we
Mm.
provide the medication financing for that. And one of them, her doctor met with her and said, if you did not have this, you would not be here with us
Wow.
because you've got to have these medications. So it's just an honor to serve in this area. The challenging thing is that you might never hear the names or the testimonials, but you know what you're doing for the
I
Lord.
know.
And I mean, I guess how much greater heaven is going to be
Yeah.
as we meet these people that we've had a tiny, tiny part of their life. And so, yeah, that's what we do. Those are the four wings,
Okay.
and I think I covered all of them. Um, and then there's two ways to get involved. So in North America, we have what's called an insider and then a responder. So
Okay.
an insider, a CSI insider, is someone that knows about CSI and is an advocate within their city or, at social media and just pushing causes.
Cool.
And then a responder is someone that actually goes out and responds to a need.
Awesome.
And that means leaving North America to go overseas.
Wow.
Um, and again, the last year and a half, 2 years, it's been less trips because of what's going on. But
Yeah.
that's humanitarian, that's educational, medical missions, and disaster relief. All four of the branches, we have needs that normally our missionaries will let us know, and then we come up with trips and then send people out to them.
Wow. Wow. I love that we're bringing awareness to this organization because I feel from what my knowledge of it has been the medical mission side, and we're
Right.
thankful to have partnered with CSI a few times and joining, the mission with our
Yeah.
scrubs and different things, which is
Yes.
just so, so cool and so rewarding to see. But I didn't know about the teacher aspect, and
Yes.
so my husband's actually a teacher
Oh, awesome.
and has summers off, and so you got my mind spinning
Yes.
on,
Yes.
this summer if we could both go somewhere and do something. But
Yeah.
what does it look like applying and being accepted, and are there certain credentials that y'all vet to make sure that someone is certified?
So we have applications online and we will usually post our upcoming trips online. And that's something that really at the end of March, we're hoping to have all of our year's trips to be able to go in and apply for. For
Awesome.
nurses, we go through and check your licensure and make sure that everything is good. And we have, I'm sure you all are used to being checked on that side.
Yes.
For every job that you apply for, you're used to that. So we do just exactly the way they would as if you're applying for a job. And then for teachers, we just try to get your licensure, your accreditation, and make sure and see that we don't. Some people feel like they are educators, but they're not. So we just wanted to see,
Yeah.
certificates of completion. One of the exciting things that we're working on is that I'm not going to say the nation, but are trying to get into a refugee camp. So we have an invitation. One of the gentlemen that's actually over it is he's one of the pastors for the UPC churches. And so he has asked us to bring in medical teams and educators and just to help in this camp. And they're trying to get a piece of property to have a training center right out of it so that here's these people that have been thrown out of, all of their nations and they're in this country. And a lot of times it's leaders from other countries that are sent into these refugee camps. Well, they're just sitting there trapped. And so how great is it if we can come alongside them with education and help them with medical relief and humanitarian aid and that sort of thing. So that's very exciting.
Wow.
Yeah.
How do you get connected? Are you working very closely, obviously, with our missionaries all
Yes.
over, and you're
Yes.
just routinely checking in, what do you need? What are we doing? And then I'm sure you're following disasters as they come,
Yes.
and that kind of takes priority.
So disasters we hear about just because of the news, and then usually the missionary or the regional directors will reach out to us. And as far as like working within causes, also the regional directors are good about reaching out to us and kind of letting us know how we can help. I will tell you about Compassion Sunday. So, Compassion Sunday is this next Sunday that's coming up. So, at the time of broadcasting this, it will not be active, but you can still give to this until June. So, it's always the last Sunday in February. It's called Compassion Sunday, and it's the Sunday that's kind of been set aside to help with Compassion Services International. And this year, we're focusing on the persecuted church.
Wow.
We can't say the countries that we're going to be helping. We will say that it's in Northern Africa. And these are men that have, um, because of the fact that they are following after Christ, they no longer have a way to support their families. And so
Mm,
this is a persecuted church. And we are coming, and our goal is to be able to help them to have startup businesses. And a startup business might be a fishing boat for two of the men to come together and get together, and they can have nets in the boat and they can provide for their family. I
wow.
think what we don't understand is that we have jobs, we can work wherever we want to, no matter our religion or our background. When
Yeah.
you're in these nations, once you become a Christian, you are no longer welcome to work where you used to work, nor are you welcome to use the boat that you used to use to provide for your family. So you lose all your resources and your backing, and a lot of times your family.
Wow.
So this is coming alongside them and saying, we see you, we see that you want to provide for your family. We want to give you the tools to be able to do that. And so we're partnering with a specific missionary and hoping to provide boats or a startup, a small business so that they can work throughout the next year. And it's not something where we're every month sending them support, but once a one time offering to them to buy a boat in the nets or to start their soda stand or whatever they're going to do to provide for their family. And
Wow.
it's a really exciting project. Like I am beyond excited about this because I
Yeah.
just feel how, we are so encircled as a body of Christ in America, and I can't imagine saying yes to God, and by me saying yes to God, that means I'm saying no to every other aspect of my life.
Wow.
And so, just kind of coming alongside that, it's very different because we can't even if you go read our social media, it doesn't really explain this very well because we don't want to overly explain this or cause
Oh,
any harm
sure.
to them,
Yeah.
right? And so, during last year's activities and everybody's eyes were on a specific situation, we were coming alongside and helping getting Christians out of the country and helping with that. But again, those aren't things that we're going on social media and like, hi everybody, we're trying to get people out of, we just have to go word of mouth and try to talk to people. And that's where, if you
Wow.
are interested in any of this, becoming an insider is important because those are people that we have vetted and we send information to them. And we also have some people that just want to be prayer partners, so we send them updates and they help us pray through situations. And
Hmm.
but yeah, we really want to connect to businesses and get into the private sector because I think a business, if it's Christian or like Christ followers or not, they really see the need of helping other people start a new business. And so
Yes.
that's our goal this year is to get into the private sector, get them on board with CSI, and it's a tax write-off, so it's a
Absolutely.
win-win.
Yeah.
And I feel like apostolics have businesses, and then there's also everybody knows someone that has a business. And so,
Absolutely.
if while I'm talking, the Lord brings someone to your mind, just please reach out and let us know. We would love to link up with them, and they're going to
Yes.
change the world. It's going to be
Yeah.
amazing.
And what a better there's no better cause
Right,
than partnering with a association or a compassion services that does something like that.
right,
Wow. Yeah. And for a business to get partnered with that, it takes our mindset away from our current circumstances and our United States being comfortable and
right,
because I don't know how to I'm stuttering over my words here, but how to think global. If I wasn't entrenched in that as a young child, how do we change our mindset to even see beyond the
right,
United States and that global? And this is a great way to tie that in financially, putting your money where your mouth is.
right.
We say we want to help and we want to unite the kingdom, but what a cool way to do that.
Yeah. I think I had one of the kind of uh at the time just kind of an offsetting question someone asked me, and it was a business leader, and he is a Pentecostal, and he said to me, he said, why would we help CSI? Like, we can help Compassion, International, or we can help Red Cross, or
Mhm.
these things. And I really didn't have an answer for him. It caught me very off guard when he said it, but I wrote to him the next week and I said, I want to fully answer your question. The reason why you need to help Compassion Services International is because we're putting money into the hands of those that have given themselves over to the Lord. They follow after Christ,
Yeah.
but they need help medically, they need help educationally, they need help with food or clean water, they need, so yes, those other organizations are great, but this is actually putting tools in the hands of our missionaries
Yeah.
and strengthening them. So as we send, we are just making their foundation broader to serve the people of their nation. So I
Wow.
think it just serves in a different way. And everybody can be involved. You don't have to be called into missions to be a
Right.
missionary to help with this. Everybody can be
Absolutely.
involved.
And
So
yeah, and what a cool way to have a small, small part in something that is so much bigger than even beyond the UPCI or just our local churches. They're
right,
always talking about get involved globally and we support missionaries, but actually seeing that money and what it's doing and investing in um, people to start their own businesses over there, the amazing skills that they're going to learn with that too.
right.
That is so exciting. It seems like it's a whole wellness spiritually, physically, financially. It's equipping. It's an
Yes,
equipping
exactly.
program.
Yeah. And they
That's
don't want they don't want to, you know, just stand and ask for food. They really want to have the means to support their family with skill set that they already have. And so I think that's the great thing about that is that it's fine to give food or to give water, clean water, but if you're giving them a skill,
yeah,
you're
yeah,
making that they can do that the next month and the next month. It's not just coming back.
right.
So it's an awesome thing. So yeah, the Lord's doing a lot of great things, and it's just sometimes it's overwhelming. And I go back to that Cylinda. that was so fearful to leave missionary kids and, you know,
Yeah.
helping with that. And I'm just like, God had his mind for greater. So I guess I want to encourage everybody today that if the Lord is challenging you to step out and to launch into something, like just think beyond yourself and to
Yeah.
think bigger picture because I look at you, Chloe, in the amazing way. I saw you at that NAYC and I just thought, this is someone that the Lord has opened up her mind to an excellent idea. And now to look at all the things, not only the scrubs, and you have come alongside CSI and given the girl, they're just like, then they're fans of the scrubs when they come home. They're like, we want these scrubs. But, so you're helping now with missions and then you're helping with this today. And I just look at it like saying yes to the Lord. Sometimes it's a scary thing, but oh, we would never go back. It's
Absolutely.
just such a life
It
changing thing.
it's allowing yourself to be positioned in a place where you let God dream the dream. He
Mhm.
gives you the dream, and then it's you saying yes, and then you execute it. And
Right,
that's what I always tell our team is as long as God's in the driver's seat, I don't fear. I
right,
don't fear at all because I couldn't have dreamed up what is happening. And I'm same
right.
with CSI. What an incredible burden was placed on your heart as a young child who went through that. You were the MK who probably felt lonely and saw your friends fall away for certain circumstances and different times. And so for a whole ministry to be birthed out of it's very inspiring. And now to see how it's continued to birth itself and grow in other areas, I'm sure it's been very uncomfortable at times launching into these new roles. Um,
Oh, definitely. And that's the thing too. Like don't be afraid to just fail because when you fail, I always say you're failing forward. So there's so many things that I don't know and I'm learning and I'm trying to figure out things. And the first thing for me to do is to for example, text my daughter who's more tech savvy than me. And then I'm like, but I'm not going to learn. And if I am
right.
going to fail, the worst thing I can do is say, hey, I totally dropped the ball. Let's try that again. And
Yep.
so um,
Yeah.
every day is a new opportunity to show God's love and mercy to someone else, and that's what I want to do. I think that's why we're alive.
Yes.
That
Yeah.
He's given us that.
Wow. That is so cool. So for anyone listening, I know we're going to have a lot of our CSASI community listening, which is made up of a lot of medical professionals. So
Yes,
if you've ever had a dream to be involved in medical missions, I know I did going through nursing school. It was my dream, and I will be on these CSI trips in the future. That is a definite thing that I'm going to be working on. But pray about it, sign up, get the process started. All it is asking off work, getting some shots and immunizations here and there, depending on where you're going, and then letting the Lord do the rest. And I think we can get these trips, continue to get these trips filled up so that you always have a pocket of people to pull from.
yes,
And I think a lot of people, at least that I've come in contact with, go into these fields wanting to help and wanting to get on these trips. It just seems impossible when that opportunity is not presented to you. So this is a great organization to jump on board and support. Even if you can't go on the trips, if we can contribute financially, become an insider, get the report, see what your money is doing,
right.
what a global effect that causes.
Yeah, and I will tell you that on these trips, we have a lot of fun. Like it's not just going every day and we do have clinic days, but we also have off days and have fun. And we try to get you in services so that you can minister as well. But I think the neatest thing about it is that one of the trips that I went on to St. Kitts and Nevis is that we had one of our ministers that they helped him. He was put in the hospital because his blood pressure was like at stroke levels.
Wow.
The other one had a blood sugar issue, and so here it is. They're going to try to help the communities, but they were really ministering to the minister and his family on both islands. So it was just such a neat thing, and they still keep in contact with the nurses, and they become like each little trip becomes like this little family unit. They're all sending each other notes and cards and laughing, and so it's just
Aw.
it's a great little community, and I love the fact that over and over I'll have people contact me like, where are we going, what's happening, and I'm like, well, right now we're having a pause, but I feel like feel like borders are opening. A lot of countries do ask for immunizations, but those are the things that we list. So
Sure.
that's not a problem. So compassionservices.org,
Okay.
and you can put my information in your notes below as well. And they can always email me or contact me if they have any questions.
Awesome.
Um, and just don't be fearful.
Yeah. Just step out.
Step out and do it.
Step out and do it. That's
Yes.
awesome. So
Yeah.
we're wrapping this up, but give us a glimpse into what a full day looks like for you. You're doing this full time now, and kind of walk us through. It changes daily, I'm sure, just like an entrepreneur. But what does a typical day look like for you running this organization?
Wow. So it just depends upon the phone calls that come in. However, I try to go through on Mondays and create my social media for the week. And I have a gentleman now that helps with social media. And so I try to get pictures and make sure that we're on kind of our branding for that. I send all of that over to him. We have Google Docs that we try to merge things into.
Awesome.
We also have someone that helps us with formulating anything that we need as far as graphics. So I'll get that with her. Right now, we're working on 3 appeals with different countries as far as like disasters. So I check in with those missionaries and try to send try to get updates from them and then send it to our supporters. And so I do that next, and then I send out any emails. Like, we have people that donate, so we always send them a thank you email and get them on mailing list. And just work with our insiders. We had some people tell us, like, I have 4 hours to help you. Is there anything I can do? And so I'm sending a packet out. I got that ready today for that lady that wants to help with a specific project. So trying to match
Mm.
volunteers with jobs that we have. And
Yeah.
here's the thing, I could probably do that job and maybe even do it a little bit faster than me setting out how to do that. But I'm not building anybody else for that day. And
Right.
so to me, it's better to take the time to give that to someone else. And the Lord is teaching me this. I will
Yes,
say that, Chloe, the Lord is teaching me this
I
because
understand.
it's very easy when, especially if you're a perfectionist, or you're a list person, you're ready to check it off. You want to do it yourself, but the Lord is like, who are you growing today?
Yeah.
Who are you investing in? Who are you getting to the next level? And so just making sure that I get that out to her. Obviously, my devotions come first. That starts off the day. I try to go 3 days. I go into church, and then the rest of the days I'm here at home. But we have a group of ladies that meet at 4:45.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
but
That's dedication.
anyway, but yeah, like I said, it's 3 days, and I really feel like that's kind of helped me the most as far as just starting out right, starting
Yeah.
that first, and then in my prayer journal, I will write the things, and this is more of a business thing that I will tell you that I do. I write the things that the Lord brings to mind as far as like people that I need to contact, people that need just a note or a text, or just
Wow.
that I need to reach out to. I put that on the top left hand side, and the top right is like tasks that come to my mind. Because when you start praying, that
Yeah.
is what happens. You just all this, and you're like, I love you, Jesus. I love you, Jesus. I love you, Jesus. And he's like, I know you love me. Stop. Just write the things
This is
down.
what you need to do.
That's right. So that's why I started
Wow.
carrying a notebook with me.
I love
And
that.
then I usually will have my tasks that I need to do. I also, my husband and I help in our church locally.
Okay.
So I help with that. And then I speak out a lot. So I
Awesome.
try to look through my week and get all that together. But anyway, yeah, every day is different. And that's what I love. Like, when you work with the Lord, he just has so many surprises every day.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah,
That's so
anything that
exciting.
I can do to help, anybody, I'm available.
Okay. Well,
I
we
know.
are going to put all the information out there when this episode goes live. And I think this is going to be great information. Thank you for sharing what it is, how we can get involved. It's a really great organization, and I'm excited to see the response that we're going to have
Yes.
from you sharing this for us. Okay. So I have one last question that we ask all of our podcast guests, and it's just answer it with the first thing that comes to your mind.
Okay.
What is saving your life right now?
My day timer.
Okay, that's good. So is this the perfectionist, the list maker speaking right now?
Yes, yes. It's my brain. It is literally my brain. I have it open right now and I have all the things written down on it. So
That's
I would
awesome.
say that and coffee and laughter. Those.
Okay. If we're ranking in priority, that makes
Yes,
sense.
yes,
Yes.
yes.
Coffee has been our number one answer. And
Oh,
I had my first guest say their husband was saving their life the other day, which I thought was
wow.
really sweet too. So
Oh, yeah. I
mm,
mean, and it's almost my anniversary, so I should have said that, but no.
it won't be when this episode goes live.
That's
So I
right.
think your
That's right.
daytime planner is still a
I'm
strong one.
good. I'm good.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much for sharing your heart
Oh,
with us, and it's what a cool story you have, birthed out of a burden, and you
yeah.
gave us so much wisdom and insight. You interlaced nuggets of wisdom and your heart into all of the information with CSI, and you can just see your passion coming through. And we know God's going to continue to take CSI to new levels, and what a cool global thing to be a part of.
Oh, well, you guys are awesome. Thank you for what you're doing. I'm like the biggest fan.
You're so sweet. Well, we're going to get some partnerships going soon. But again, thanks for being on the Skirted Professional podcast.
You're welcome.